Hello everybody, my name is Donna and welcome on in. For those who are new to my channel and those who are regulars, welcome on back. What you doing? How you doing? Okay, so initially, right now is the 14th of July. And initially I wanted to put together the vlog for you guys from shore leave, but I wasn't able to. I'm like kind of tired. I'm running on like between anywhere between 4 and 6 hours of sleep for almost a full on week at this point, and this is my third Kickstarter. And I also had a cup of coffee. So we're gonna talk about something else, a little bit of a topic while I'm still functioning, and that is how I started hit my business. So how I started my business was this happened back like in early 2023, January 2023. I ended up like back a month prior, like about a month prior, I got a little famous from a viral video on TikTok apologizing to the haters because I was getting a lot of hate from 4 months straight at that point. And it was getting a lot. It was getting too much for me after 4 months. And so I decided, hey, let me make an apology video for the haters, because like I feel like this was something that I felt like was the only way to kind of get people off my back. Did not work as intended, right? It ended up becoming so viral, in fact, that now currently it's at six. What's last time I checked? It was from a few while back. It was like 6.1 million views, and then there have been so many videos of people talking about this situation that there's so many people talking about it, and not only in just TikTok but also in YouTube, Twitter. That's not called X. Kind of weird transition, but it is what it is. And then also Instagram. So it was kind of interesting to see that. And even I even got invited to get interviewed by Jake Barr, who's known as Bar None, for those of you guys who are unaware, on Twitch, which was interesting. And then, however, I haven't been streaming on Twitch for around 2 years at this point, a little over. I think I did. Anyway, I don't remember if I ever did film, like stream anything for the past 2 years. But anyway, um, and then January rolls around, and my grandma, my dad's side of the family, passes away. And that how I started my business was because I knew that within the family, every mother on my dad's side, like my grandma had taught my aunt how to crochet. She obviously, my aunt doesn't, I don't think she remembers how to crochet at this point. But my mom also knew how to crochet as well. So I at that point I already learned how to crochet for 10, like around 10 years at that point. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to like bring up, let me just memorialize my grandma. And that's how Crafty Items by Donna had started, because I wasn't gonna name it Crochet by Donna or anything like that. I wanted to kind of like keep it very broad, and if I wanted to expand on it, I I would choose so at my own pace, basically. So that's how my business started on Etsy originally, and I was making scarves. And I was making a few scarves made to order, by the way. And it got to a point where selling on Etsy wasn't being I wasn't being profitable on there. So I ended up switching from Etsy to Square. And here's the thing. A lot of people ask me if I'm selling on Etsy, and I'm like looking at them like, why would I want to sell on Etsy? Like, I know it's an arts and craft place, but they charge you a lot of money on fees, not only for shipping but also fees to advertise your business and stuff like that. And you lose out on so much more money than you actually make as a profit. So you have to charge a lot of money, and even then, the higher the cost of the item, the more fees is going to add up, and it gets to a point where you might end up losing more money, or at least for me, losing more money than you actually gain money. Even to this day, people still ask me if I ever sell my stuff on Etsy, and I said no, I sell them on Square, and they asked me how Square is, and I said, oh, it's been pretty good to me so far, and so I actually do pretty good on Square, all things considered. I really like using Square, and I don't have much of a problem with Square, so like I always just work on what I got and then just focus on there. Anyway, since then, from like 2023 to 2024, I was actually just making scarves. I probably made just only a few $100. And then when I switched from when 2024 hit, I started introducing dishcloths, but I only had like a few colors on me. Like I think 5, 6 colors, and like I had only 5, 6 colors for the longest time too. And it got to a point where I applied for my very first event, which was PucciCon. Now, from what I remember from PucciCon, not a lot of people liked it. Like even I kind of like I was like, where's the people? Like the advertisement was really good though. I'm not gonna lie, but the people just wasn't there. And they did it in Teaneck, out of all places, Teaneck, New Jersey. And Teaneck doesn't have. I don't know if there was a lot of people that were anime slash gaming fans. And luckily this year they have it in like a different city altogether, where there's a huge population, where there's a higher chance of um gamers and anime lovers that are going to be there. But you know, at that time, this was my very first convention, and even though I did almost sell out technically, I didn't make a lot of money, and I was only selling dishcloths too, so of course I wasn't gonna make a lot. And it was a learning experience. It was a very good starter convention, I'm not gonna lie. And then I started getting, like, I only did a few events here and there, street fairs, artist markets, stuff like that. And then when like I think between October and December came in for 2024, I had started expanding into teddy bears. And December came around, I added also candles. And I chose like some winter scents, and I tried to keep up with like a constant seasonal candle stuff, like seasonal like 3 cents kind of candle collection. But you know, this at this point, like I don't have a summer collection, unfortunately. But let's go back to between October and December. I was doing so many events during the holidays that um at some point I decided to start looking for more conventions. And there was a few that I applied to, which was Cosmic Con. I didn't do too good. Cyclone Con, which I did pretty good. And then essentially I did pretty good with also this convention called Shore Leave, which I just came back from at the time of me filming this video. I just came back home a few hours ago, and I did pretty good. I did make my table, and I did almost fully cover the cost of the train ticket, which is great. Those were the only two things I was trying to cover. I didn't really focus on the hotel room because someone actually like gave me an early birthday present, and that was like their way of helping me cover some of the costs. So I don't have to worry about that per se. But I applied for the convention. I got approved for Shore Leave. So this was going to be my first ever Pennsylvania convention, which was really fucking great. I had a really lovely time. But I want to give you, like, if you guys ever see the vlog when I post it up in a couple of days, you guys will see how genuinely excited I was. I still am. I'm still having a hard time If you guys saw my Instagram, I still have a hard time believing that all that actually still fucking happened. It feels like a fever dream. And if you guys saw my personal TikTok and my business Instagram, oh, the pictures are there to prove it was actually real. And even though, and like even part of the way home from taking the train back home in here in New Jersey, I actually started working on a secret project. Not gonna tell you what it is. Yeah, y'all are gonna figure it out in due time. I just started it today. But anyway, and then also around that same time that I applied for shore leave back in between October and December, I also applied for another big convention, right? My second out of New Jersey convention. That's gonna be happening in September. I don't know how I'm gonna travel there and then come back whilst doing the fall semester for my college. I also and also guess what? While I was doing all this application stuff, back in October and December, I was also going to school. On top of that, I became a full time student at college, especially specifically my dream college here in New Jersey. Now, this event that I'm actually talking about is something I've never really done before, and it was rather interesting. So, the event that I'm talking about is called the LandCon. If you guys don't know what the LandCon is a convention that's based off in Edinburgh, Scotland, and it's this whole entire convention is all about Outlander, everything Outlander, and this is going to be my first ever international convention too. So I kind of wanted to do it mainly because I was like, this would be an interesting thing, and this is going to be something that I would really love to get my hands on and try to travel to and stuff like that. So I have to save up enough money to actually get the plane ticket, as well as also a hotel room or something like that to get there. So it's going to be a lot of hard work. I'm not going to lie. But essentially, this is going to be something that I would really love to get to, essentially, and then try to focus on what my theme would be based off of that, like the running theme. Like I want to do something that's kind of Scottish related, and then try to also focus more on stuff that are plant-based materials. So I might not end up bringing the teddy bears with me, but I'll bring it just in case. But anyway, at that point, I applied for those two conventions, got approved for them, paid the table. Shore leave already just finished. I got most of my money back, and essentially, during that time leading up to this um, to shore leave, I actually ended up also adding like a limited run on soap, which I'm almost sold out on for both. I already sold out on all the fresh bamboo, and only had like two of the tobacco and spice that kind of smells like Old Spice. Really, nobody really got an interest in buying those, but just about everybody was buying up almost all of the candles. Bought me out of almost all the dishcloths. I did get a few people buying the teddy bears. Not too many, which is kind of interesting. Because teddy bears used to be like on the rage at some point, and then some point just like, I think it's just a working market. To be honest, I think I've like changed stuff around, and I'm still working on towards that. So hopefully, in the future things will change. I did get like a lot of different information about some of the conventions that are happening within Maryland, within Pennsylvania, and then also some other stuff, like probably even out of the country too, that for next year. And it's like it's interesting how like I'm looking at all these different things, and like I even picked this one that's like in Baltimore, Maryland, Balticon. For it's kind of science fiction and fantasy, and the project that I'm working on does I'm trying to revolve around fantasy. So hopefully like I'll have more stuff from that, and also in the like I've been doing during this entire time leading up to this event too, I ended up even quitting my job too. And I already finished my first year of college. I'm about to start my second year. And it's kind of interesting how that's all going to play out in the coming months, cuz like I'm going to have a lot of stuff to do. I would have to like have almost no sleep, try to make sure that I keep up with my homework, as well as trying to keep up with all the stuff that I have to make, which I was working on this since last night. So yeah, this is a cobalt blue dishcloth, and I have to buy more of the yarn for the morning sky blue, which is kind of like a pale blue. If you ever see it on my website, you'll know exactly which one I'm talking about. And so essentially, with all this that's been happening, I've just been doing a lot. I've just been trying my best to keep up with everything, and I've just been kind of working on overhaul or overdrive basically. So hopefully I'll get some more stuff done. I kind of wanted to give you like a brief history per se of like my 2.5 years running this business, well over that at this point, and how much I've worked hard. And and I forgot to mention too, there was this point in time, I didn't add on it, but my grandma on my mom's side of the family also passed away. Like around 15 months after, like almost a year and a, between 15 months to like a year and a half after my grandma and my dad's side of the family. Both had passed away due to complications. But with my grandma on my mom's side, there was this one thing I actually done to her for her. And if you guys don't know, I did briefly talk about it in the drama video, um, the first video I had up back in like I think the 27th of June. I did briefly talk about her, where she did pass away due to complications. She had a number of illnesses, both mental and physical, and that I don't want to go into full details. But I'm gonna try not to cry on this one. There was a point in time where my mom was gonna travel back to Kosovo, because the person in charge of, ensuring that she gets buried was my uncle, which after the whole thing, the last time I spoke to him was at the wake, and I haven't spoken to him after that because of the situation that happened that involved, it's very complicated how it turned out, but I don't want to like go into full details because then I'm gonna end up crying. But the only detail I'm gonna give you is I had asked my mom at one point if she'd be willing to, like, I gave her one of the cream white dishcloths that I made, and I asked my mom, hey, before she gets buried, do you mind putting this with her? She was like, yeah, I'll do it for you. And that's what she did. Gosh, I didn't know it's still at me to this day. Like, only, like, what, a year and 3 months after the fact? No, a year and 2 months after the fact. Um, but yeah, that's the last thing that happened. And yeah. Anyway, let's get out of this really bad note. Like, I don't want to go down memory lane again. But yeah, like this whole 2.5 years that I've been going through trying to run this business led with a lot of sacrifices and stuff like that, and essentially got me to the point where I now run my business full time. I am doing my best to restock everything, and then meeting new people, selling some of my stuff to some celebrities, which is kind of amazing, and like did get me to cry at some point along the way when some of the celebrities bought my stuff. It hit me hard. I got so overwhelmed that I cried tears of joy. not tears of sadness, tears of joy. Right? It made me really happy, and in the end of the day, um, it was really worth it, and I really liked it. I'm not gonna hate it, and that it is what it is. Because at this point, I really adore everything that's happened, and hopefully, in the future months that are going to follow, um, things can go on the up and up. Hopefully. But yeah, that's kind of like my journey in a nutshell, very summarized. Yeah, there's nothing to it really. Um, there's always a lot that needs to get improved on, which I'm currently working on at this point. But in the end, I really enjoyed my journey leading up to this point, and I don't think I can say it any other way other than I just feel super fucking lucky and happy. And I'm sorry if I'm cursing too much for those who don't like me cursing. But I feel so ecstatic, so happy, all that stuff. And yeah, it's very surreal. It's very hard to believe that this had happened. Stuff like this had happened over the past 2.5 years. And I don't know how to properly come down from this high that makes everything feel like a dream. So, yeah, I hope you liked, and I hope you liked the story that I had about how I started my journey as a small business owner and then leading up to what recently happened in shore leave. And without giving you any spoilers about what actually happened, unless you followed my TikTok or YouTube, TikTok or Instagram actually. Um, but yeah, if you guys like the video, go ahead, give a like. If you guys want a comment of like what you thought about the video, leave a comment. If you guys want to subscribe, help me reach to 300 subscribers by the time my birthday comes on Wednesday, July 16th. You guys can. I'm not gonna pressure you though. That's all on you. Anyway, I'm gonna get last bit of chores done, and I'm probably gonna go to sleep. Probably gonna do live TikTok, but whatever. It is what it is. So, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, night, whatever time you watch this video. And yeah, bye bye.